Hey everybody, hey, what's up world? It is Haja Scott with Of Lace and Grace TV. I'm gonna turn this down because I've been here working and jamming. Happy Sunday everybody. I hope y'all are well. How's everybody doing? I feel like I haven't done a live. This year has been flowing by. These months have been flowing by. We're all doing so much. We're all getting so many things prepared and ready. We're all moving in a few new things. A few little new things. That's what I was trying to say. So we're moving in some new stuff. We're doing some new things. Y'all, wait. This is the end of the month, end of March. So today is the 30th. Yeah, because tomorrow's the 31st. So it's the end of March. This is also the beginning of a new quarter. A new quarter. So Q2, we are ending tomorrow, Q1. How did your quarter one go? How did January through March 2025 go? You know, if it went well, then, you know, that's great. That's great. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving in the right direction. You know how I am. You know what I'm going to say. Keep going. Keep moving forward. Don't give up. Don't stop. If you fail, if you had some things going on, dust yourself off, as Aaliyah says, and try again. Let's keep it moving. And if it wasn't so great, then, you know, let's regroup, so that we can get in the right vein. If we can get in the right vein of things, we can get in what God has us moving in, and what He has us doing in this season, in this time. The things that He has been asking us to prepare, and we have been preparing. And if there's any levels of that still need to go forth, let's do that, because that's what's going to set us in the right positioning for Q2, Q3, Q4. So the things that need to come about, we'll be able to do, and we won't miss out, not just on these opportunities, on these doors, on these windows of opportunities, on these on some of the things that are opening up to us, because that's what I've been feeling, and I've been seeing that already, hearing that already. And even with spring, I know technically we already are in spring. Is that right? I don't even know. I got to look at the calendar. But I have been kind of feeling that, sensing that, even hearing that, is that things are coming alive. We're coming alive. So I'm coming to you today about some garden stuff. I know I'm not in the garden, but a little bit of quality of life gardens, and just of Lace and Grace TV. Also a little bit of next level, because, you know, this is some building and stuff that we're doing. But coming to you with some garden stuff today. And I have been feeling that, maybe because I've been in the garden too. Things are coming alive. Things are coming to life. And so I'm just wanting to speak a little bit of life and a little bit of encouragement over you, just in case, because I know if we just look at one note, we just look at what's going on right now in the world, it doesn't necessarily feel great. But that doesn't mean that there aren't good and great things going on. And it also doesn't mean that we are not still being set up and positioned and kind of our path aligned to walk in the good stuff, the great stuff, the God stuff that He has for us to do. So be encouraged, take courage. So I'm gonna I just want to show you some things real quick. As you can see, we're starting our seed trays. I know I was telling y'all I start these seed trays like weeks ago, but, you know, the way that things go sometimes, you know, life be lifing, and we just weren't able to get it done around here. And so I am working on it now. I've been working on other garden things, so I'll show you some of the things that have been growing. Oh my gosh, some of the things we've been eating from the garden, pictures that I've been sending friends and family and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about that. But today I want to just show you a little bit, some of the tips and things like this, some tips and some little things that I've been learning with the seed trays, because we did a lot of direct sow right into the ground, right into the planters in the previous season, in the fall and in the winter. And we did a little bit of seeding in the cells and the seed trays. But we're doing more this time, and we're getting ready for summer because it's getting warm. So I just want to show y'all a little bit about what we got going on, and you can compare it to what you have going on. You can compare it to some of the other advice that you have. It gives you a way to start, because nothing is 100% foolproof. You know, I mean, we put them in these seed trays, and sometimes because of how much light, not enough light, heat, too much cold, or just the seedlings themselves are temperamental. Sometimes they grow, sometimes you have a few that don't make it out of the bunch. And so I just wanted to show you some things and encourage you to start your gardens. Start them on your porch, start them on your patio, start them in your planters, in your pots. If you don't have a lot of room, there's so many things you can do. They have the tiered pots systems where you can grow a whole vertically up. You can grow all your stuff. Right now we have one big pot that we're thinking about. Okay, can we put multiple things in there? Kind of like in the fall when I put some of the herbs in there that still haven't really come up yet. But I think with this warm weather, because I should have planted them a little bit earlier or just right about now, those will be coming up, and so you can do different things like that. There's just so many different ways. I know you guys see things online, and I try to post and share a lot of the things that I see or that I think that will be helpful for you guys and those that I know that are growing. So without further ado, let me get on these, and then I'm going to read to you a couple of let you know a few things about what I'm planting, and then just some tips, some little reading the back, but also some things that are good to plant now and some things that we may just want to wait until later in the year. All right, so move the camera down just a little bit so you can see down here better. You can see my voice, but you can't see my face. So here we go. So here's my little trusty tool that I've been using for planting delicate things like my onions. I've been cutting off my what are they called? Oh gosh, my green onions. There you go. Been cutting off the roots and using them, cut off the roots and replanting them. You'll see them out in the garden when I do a video. And so I've been using this to get the roots all down in there and things like that. And so I'm also using it now here. And so start with your soil. I got some organic soil in here. You can mix up your soil if you want to. There's so many different things that you can do online. I actually went to try to get some additional nutrients, and I was going to get some extra perlite in there that helps with some of the absorption, moisture retention and things like that. And I wasn't able to get everything I wanted, but I do got some compost that I'm going to have soon. And so when we get ready to put these into the ground, when the seedlings are grown up, I'll probably incorporate some compost in with it, so it'll have some extra nutrients. But you want to wet your soil a little bit. Make sure that your soil is damp, not dry and cracky, but then also not squishy where water can squeeze out of it. So just moist enough. So I got my soil mixed in here, and these are my seed trays. We try to stay away from the flimsy plastic ones, but some of these are one-time use, some are multiple use, like this or something like this, a little bit harder. Plastic, they've got other materials that are a little bit better for you, as far as, again, we know with some of the plastics and some of these things with the PFAS and other things like that. And so you try to get what you can get. Also, you can use cups. You can put them paper cups. I also have biodegradable, I think I did a video on that. If not, I have to post it. Biodegradable seeding cups. And so they're little cups. And so I use those. And again, it breaks down. The matter breaks down. The cup itself breaks down in the soil. And so that's what my herbs are actually planted in. And so there's so many ways that you can do it. Right now I'm just using these. But there's so many different ways that you can start your seeds off. So first of all, let's get our soil in. So I already put some soil in here. One of the recommendations that I've been using and making sure is that we get our soil compact and real tight in there. And so I'm going to put a little bit more. Y'all don't laugh at my little scoop that I'm using, a little plastic spoon here. But you want to press it down in the cells because you want to get it nice and tight in there, and then we'll make our little holes and stuff like that. To get it nice and tight, think about also when that root is establishing, we want to give it a nice little snug, you know, some snugness. See, look at that. See how this one, like I have room to go down. So don't just fill it up and say, oh, okay, it's filled or whatever. Think about like when a plant is in a pot, you know, you want it to be planted in there tightly, securely, you know, and the roots, the stems, all that, they love the secured, they love to be secured, they love to be hugged. So I'm just getting a little bit more in here, and then I'm actually going to top and put some more on top anyway. So so when you have them all ready like this is pretty much what you're going to do. And this isn't going to be a long video, not that I know of. First, you want to actually, what are you planting? So it's going to tell you in what you're planting. It's going to tell you how deep you actually need to plant it. And so these are 3 that I'm planting actually in this one right here. Well, technically 2 of them in here, and the other one I'm actually going to plant over here because I have more seeds. So eggplant and cucumber. And so we'll start with that. I'm also going to do this chard, y'all. It's not a Swiss chard, but it is a variety of chard. It's a rainbow blend. Isn't that pretty? And they're very healthy. You eat not just the leaves itself, but also the stalks. And so that's the rainbow chard. We'll come back to that one. So with cucumber and eggplant, let's start with the eggplant. It tells you kind of in the back, if you can see, what, oh, was that backwards? I don't know. Let's see. It tells you how deep you need to plant the seeds, because sometimes we put the seeds in real deep, and we did that, you know, last fall with the carrots, and they took forever to come up. They did come up though, but they took forever. So we won't plant them so deep. So it gives you some instructions for when starting indoors. It says about 6 to 8 weeks before the last spring frost. So we're probably, you know, the last frost, I don't know if it's actually happening now. It might be a little bit late, but we're gonna go ahead and get it in, because we still been having some cold temperatures, you know, at night down here. And so we're going to try to, oh, the music changed. Let's see, there we go, put that back on. So we're going to still go ahead and start this, and if the seedlings are mature enough, we're going to go ahead and get it out to the garden. You know, we still have some time. So this takes, it says 1/4 inch as far as its depth in planting. That lets us know we're not going very deep. We're going to plant like every 4 seeds, so we're going to probably put like 4 seeds in there. We'll probably go through and thin as the seedlings are coming up. That means we're going to kind of cut off some of the seedlings that you see growing, so that more of the nutrients and the energy from the plant will go to like maybe 2 leaves or 3 leaves rather than 4 or 5 or something like that. But we'll watch this as it's going. And then also this lets us know just ahead of time, amongst some other things, it's going to take about 10 to 15 days for this to germinate. And so we've got our soil here. I'm going to make a hole, not very deep, because it just says about 1/4. So now you can't see that very well, but not very deep. You can also use a little tool like this. I got it, and you can also use the other side of it too if you just don't want to go in very deep or very wide. These seeds, this is what they look like. Can you see? Yeah, you can see that. There we go. So we're gonna, it said about 4 seeds, so we're gonna put about 4 of them in here. No. There we go. If you put 5, if you put 3, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. You know, you'll be alright. Make another little hole here. I got a few more. I'm gonna actually use this little tool to get them up in here. It's a little handy dandy tool. I'm gonna do a little bit more, and I'm gonna show you a good way, because I was not doing this with the first time with my last seed trays. There we go. I was not doing this as far as in the watering. I was just watering any kind of way, and some of them made it. You know, we got some in the garden right now, but from the last seed trays. But and I'm just putting them in here. I know you can't see the way I'm kind of doing my hand, but you know, they're right in here. This one I already know needs a little bit more soil, so I'm going to put a little bit before that way, again, fill it up first, press it down so that you've got enough soil in here, because you don't want to say, oh, I don't have enough soil, and then you've already planted this, and then you got to go back and then you got to put some more soil on top. Then think about that, you just changed the depth level. And so I'm going to grab a couple more seeds. I'm so excited to be growing some eggplant. I buy it from the farmer's market all the time. Well, I had been, you know, like when the weather was a little warmer. And I'm excited to be growing my own. Okay, so I'm going to get it in there. Now we got the seeds in. And then we're just going to take, as you can see what I'm doing right here. That's where I got the camera down. And just cover the seeds just a little bit. Push that down a little bit. Cover them up. And then here's a good method that I saw online. Because what I was doing was I was up in there just spraying it. Like, there's nothing in this one. I only did 4 right here. But I was in there just spraying stuff like, well, hold on. Okay, here you go. And you see how I'm spraying all wild? Sometimes it knocks the seeds, you know, kind of all over the place and whatnot. I'm trying to be precise with this. So instead of going through and spraying, and sometimes I have my sprayer on, so it sprays not so hard, but either way, here's a good method I found online. Get a paper towel, lay it on top. At least when you're before you start seeing seedlings. This is because we don't want the seeds all over the place, or sometimes we're blowing the seeds out and we don't even know. Especially if you're using a water can or something like that, you could be flooding that and don't even know. So we're just going to actually wet it like this. We're wetting the paper towel, and so thus, as you can see, it's actually wetting the soil underneath it. So we're going to soak it though. And then this is a good way to, again, to water before you start seeing seedlings. When you got seedlings coming up, that means they've got roots. That means you see the stalk coming up, and now you can tend to spray it and it's fine. Seeds aren't going to be flying everywhere. This is just while you're doing your seeding. And so here we go. I'm going to kind of saturate that so the water can seep through. As you see, the water kind of seeping through. You can even see right here where it's draining. The water will seep through, and your little pockets, your little cells will be watered. Okay, so now that we're done with that, and I just want to show you this method so you can even see. Yeah, it's got some pretty good. And then you leave the paper towel on there as well. You leave the paper towel on so that it can continue to moisten, almost like in the ground where we kind of put mulch and other things like that on top of that. It helps for moisture retention, and so when it's not exposed to the sun or light, whatever, you know, so harshly or continually, directly, I should say, this is almost like a barrier. So directly, it helps to retain some of that moisture. Now, this paper towel is going to dry up, and then it ain't going to really do anything, but that's why we should just come back and just kind of check every few days and see if the soil is looking a little bit dry, and then we will moisten the paper towel, let it drain through. Go ahead and put a lot so that it will drain through and you won't have dry cells. The soil underneath and the cells won't be dry. You actually want to do that. Another thing is you don't have to, if you're going to use this, you don't have to use a spray bottle with this. So if you're going to put the paper towels over here, again, the paper towel is kind of acting as a barrier, so it's keeping everything in place. Now you can use a full watering can if you want to, or pour water in any type of way on there. You just don't want to drown it, you know. So yeah, if a cup of water, you want to do that. Again, we just don't want to drown it. We don't want the seeds spilling over and drowning out or anything like that. And then we wanted to stay in the soil kind of at the dimension, at the depth level that we planted it in, because that's the optimal depth level. So you don't have to use a spray bottle with this. You can use a cup. Because a paper towel is just a method to keep everything under control. And so with that said, I already told you we're planting some eggplant, planting some cucumber. These are great ones. They're great because it's about to get warm, and so they withstand the heat. And sometimes it'll tell you what type of temperature. If not, you could always just kind of look it up online. let's see, this is going to take 7 to 14 days to germinate. And the days to maturity after planting it like into the ground, this is going to be 60 to 70 days. So it's going to take a couple of months for our cucumbers. Same thing with our eggplant. It's going to take 60 to 90 days, so just a little bit more. So it's good that we're starting this, even though it's not April, but it's about to be April. You know, we got a few months, and so for that one, even if we want to say, okay, 90 days, April, May, June, you know, or more like June going into July, because we're going to take a couple of weeks for this to germinate. You know, it's a good time. The weather is going to be nice, the weather is going to be warm, and it's going to be ideal for our eggplant and our cucumber. A few other things I'm going to tell you that I'm just planting before I get off. We got some more peppers going in. One of these videos out here, I'm going to go out there and show y'all what we got going on with the peppers right now. We have not harvested any of them, but they are looking good. So far, so good. So we got some jalapeno, and we got some cow wonder, look like a bell pepper. We've got some squash, cricket neck squash, and some zucchini that we're going to put out. And we're also going to put some more beans out. We're waiting for our other beans to come up, and so we're going to see how that one's doing. But we got some beans, and we're going to put that on the trellis, because some of these things like to grow upwards, or like to and can grow upwards. And so we're going to try to do that to help some of the pest control grow up on a trellis. And you can use, if you don't have a traditional trellis or one that you built, you can always do a makeshift. You know, you can put, I remember my grandfather used to do this when we were younger, and I didn't understand why, but you know, put like a stake in the ground, and you just put it near where you planted, and you can use anything as a stake. And you will see a lot of these that vine, they will grow like tomatoes and some of the cucumbers and the zucchini, and even the beans. You'll see them where the vine will now hook on to the what do I call it? The stake. The stake. No, I was gonna say the staff. The stake that you put in the ground. The vines will catch it and it'll grow up it. And so as it's growing up, of course, as it fruits, it will actually be on the vine and off of the ground. It won't grow out into your garden and maybe into other things and interfering other things, and easier for little animals and little things to get. You know, it'll grow up. So I'm growing those, and of course, gotta grow some tomato. And we're gonna do the brandy wine and also like a chocolate cherry. So we're gonna see what that comes out like, and we're gonna couple it with some basil. And so we're gonna use the Genovese and a purple dark opal basil. These partner well. I always post about some companion plants. Basil is a companion plant to tomato. Not just great in eating, because they kind of go good together too. When you cook basil and tomato, and it just kind of brings out the flavors. To me, it feels like anyway. But the basil also produces the scent, or just whatever it is that is an insect deterrent, because we know tomatoes, y'all, and anybody who's grown tomatoes know they are, I don't want to say temperamental, like everybody's after the tomatoes, you know, like the birds after the tomatoes, the squirrels after the tomatoes, the slugs after the tomatoes, the insects are after the tomatoes. And so, you know, keeping them netted, keeping them, you know, doing, because as I was mentioning to a friend the other day, we're not using pesticides out there. So if you're growing an organic garden without pesticides, you're not able to go spray like they do on, you know, food we've been eating for years. They spray all this stuff. They kill these bugs and these pests that are attempting, or ward them off, that are attempting to eat the crop, so that we, you know, they have enough for us to have in grocery stores and whatever else. But then again, this is what's seeping into the produce that we buy, and which is why we've been talking about that for our health. We find out that this is having adverse effects. Pesticides and other chemicals. Now, you know, back in the day, we weren't paying any attention to this. We didn't know. At least some of us didn't know. And some people did know. They didn't care. We were planting anyway. But they have adverse effects on our bodies. And so what we're finding, you know, a lot of other autoimmune issues and diseases and ailments and illnesses. Not to mention some of these things were causing, cancers and lymphomas and things like that. The studies have shown, and like this stuff is out even in the news now, again, so it's kind of hush hush, just like the PFAS and the other chemicals and things like that were put into, again, some things we cook with. And so we've got to start switching over. We've got to start eliminating the, maybe the ways we were doing things, because there are alternatives. And here's the thing: you might feel like, okay, this is too much. This is extra. This isn't. This is just a lot to do. So the alternative is what? Being diagnosed with cancer, or a type of cancer, or some type of autoimmune, or something that comes for your life, that comes for your quality of life, and even in some cases your actual life, where you're fighting now a disease that maybe you didn't have to fight had we known there were alternatives. And so this is why I like to share the information that I share, as I've picked it up. Now, everybody's not going to wipe everything out of their kitchen and wipe everything out, in one day, and the next day you're eating with a metal spoon and you only eating, something that you grew. No, but there are phases to this. There are levels to this. And so I just want you to be aware. And I want everybody out there to take care of themselves and start doing this ourselves. That's a whole nother video. We've been talking about it for a while, but we're seeing now why some of the importance of being able to produce some of the things for yourself, not just because you know what's going in it and what you're not putting in it, and the pesticides and other things like that, which we'll come back to why I brought that up, but also just being able to get what you need. This isn't actually that hard. Like I'm sitting here and, it's a little bit of time I'm doing this. We'll put this out, you can put them in some pots, even larger pots, smaller pots. You can put them in planters. You can put them directly in the ground. So many different ways that you can do this. You can use buckets and things like that, food grade buckets and other things like that you don't have to, go out and spend a whole bunch of money. But while you're not doing anything but living life, guess what's happening? Your plants are growing. You're going to have food off of that for yourself, for your family, maybe for your neighbors, maybe making your gardens more like a neighborhood or community garden. Just the options are endless. And right now we're in the vein of connectivity. We're in the vein of cooperatives. We're in the vein of collaborations. And so these may be ways that you and the ones that are connected to you, either by proximity where you live, or your family or your friends, where you guys are helping each other. Because some of this stuff out in the grocery store, I just saw that and posted that too. I just saw the spinach, like broccoli, Walmart, just all of these, stuff that it's like, well, this is healthy. It is, but it's also filled with other things. So do you want to eat that? Things that are harmful to your body. So do you want to eat that? No, we don't. Lastly, I'm also going to do some lavender. I know we got some lavender going in the front, but it was struggling a little bit, y'all, with the cold and also with the squirrels. For some reason they kept digging up my lavender. And then lastly, we don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to try my best to get some broccoli in there. And so I'm going to, we got some broccoli going right now, but I want some more because I love broccoli. And so we're going to try to get some more broccoli in. Broccoli is typically cold weather, doesn't necessarily like frost, but it stands cold. It does not like heat. So we got a little bit of time before it gets real, real hot. Let's see. We got a little bit of time before it gets real, real hot, but I'm going to try around and see if I can get some broccoli in there. And that's the thing about gardening. It's about trying. It's about trial and error. Everything isn't, down to a science. And you want to get it there, but sometimes you just need to experiment and try some things. And so I will be back and try to give y'all a little bit more, this chard, I didn't tell you about that. The chard also tolerates heat, but it's a cold, it's a cold weather type of plant. So it's okay with cold, but then it also withstands heat. So I was like, we're going to try this and let me see if we can get some of this in. So that's what I was saying about that. Oh, and the netting That's what I was saying for the tomatoes and other things like that. Because these are organic gardens that we are building, we're not using pesticides and chemicals and going and putting Roundhouse and what is it, Roundup. How many commercials we got to see of Roundup right now? I've been using Roundup for years, and now they're like may cause lymphoma and this and a hard of breathing and headaches and you're like, well, hold on, nobody told me this, may cause you to sleep too much, maybe ultimate sleep is what they're talking about. So we're not using any of that, and so that's why we're using companion plants. This is why we're using certain oils like neem oil for certain things, like to get rid of aphids and things like that, where you got colonies coming. We had on one of our lettuce plants, and also just natural tactics, spraying it down with soap and water, using netting, kind of our plant netting and mosquito netting, things like that, to kind of protect certain things, where say the birds and the squirrels can't get to your tomatoes. So we're doing these types of things so that we are able to have successful gardens. This is all trial and error. Everything didn't work out right in the fall, but a lot of things actually did, and a lot of things survived throughout the winter, and now we're ready to move into the new season where things are coming to life. And so don't forget also, we put our stakes in so that we know what's what. They've got all kind of different stakes, but put your stakes in so that you know what's what. And when it's time for us to put these into the ground, we know exactly where we're putting them, what we're companioning them with, just kind of where they're going in the garden. So that's all I have for today, y'all. This was a little bit of Sunday gardening inspiration. But I really do. I hope you guys are well. There's more that I do need to post. Time has been getting away, but there's more that I do need to post, more that I do need to share. Definitely more garden wins that I want to share with you guys. And it's just, some things that God is just speaking and showing as well. I think we've gotten to a point where either you're going to listen to God right now, or you're going to listen to all these voices and all the stuff that's going on in the news every day. And if you choose the latter, you will probably be sacrificing a lot of peace as well as other things, because you've decided to do that. I'm not saying don't be aware. I'm not saying don't check in and see what's going on, but don't saturate yourself in that. There's so much more life going on. There's so much more to do. There's so much more to bring forth. And as this new season is coming forth, it's a new season in our lives too. And we need to embrace that. We're not walking in fear, and we're definitely not walking in disappointment and discouragement. This is the time for us to strategize, for us to come together, for us to collaborate, connect, build our cooperatives, and build the things that we need to help us sustain, but also to help us grow. And when I say us, it's a collective us. And so it doesn't matter what the enemy has planned. It doesn't matter the things that are seeming like they're coming against your forward movement. God always has a ram in the bush. He always has a way for us. And that's why we keep our ear to God, so that He can continue to instruct us during this time in our path and the way that we need to go. So with that, I'm going to let y'all go. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm going to finish up these sales so that I can have my Sunday dinner and relax and do all the other things that I need to do before starting on this week. So y'all have a blessed week. We will talk again soon, and happy gardening. This is the kale. Got the kale coming up, you guys. Looking good. Look at our broccoli. Broccoli's coming up. And this lettuce right here. Got some more lettuce. Also, these are the